What's up guys, welcome back. In today's video we'll be looking at how to paint female skin. Now the main differences between male and female skin is that female skin is roughly 25% thinner and also has less surface texture. This makes it both softer and smoother than male skin. To capture this on a miniature can be quite tricky, but one of the best ways to simulate it is to simply use a more subtle shadow. We still want to create a good amount of contrast, but we also want to reduce the distance between the dark and light colours, which sounds like a contradiction, but we can actually do this via the simple colour theory trick of using cold colours in the shadows and warm colours in the highlights. If you don't know anything about colour theory, cold colours are tones you would associate with winter, whereas warm colours are ones that would more correlate with summer. To illustrate this, if you get yourself a colour wheel, spin it round so that you have the yellow at the bottom. Now draw a vertical line down the middle. All the colours on the right side of the line are cold colours, whereas the ones on the left are warm. So to start off here, we'll mix a bit of Games Workshop Screamer Pink into our flesh tone. This paint is actually more violet than pink, so it's right on the edge between warm and cold. If you were to add a bit more blue to it, you would get a more dramatic effect, which is actually what I did when I was painting this Cadian model from Hassle-Free Miniatures. For the flesh tone, I'm using Resurrection Flesh from the Fantasy&Games line, but some good equivalents are Vallejo Red Beige, Games Workshop Cadian Flesh Tone, and P3 Cardiac Flesh. So this gives you quite a nice natural base colour to work over. Now we're going to jump straight into our highlights by adding a little bit of Scale Colour Light Skin into the mix. Notice here that this has a subtle orange tint to it, which is going to give us our warm tone that we talked about earlier. Add some water, making sure that the paint is nice and thin. Now simply pull the paint over the surface in the direction of your highlight. We'll focus on the lower half of the skin first. Now here on the belly, you want to have the highlight at the top where it meets the shirt. On the left side of the hip, we'll highlight along the lower side, whereas on the right hip, we'll highlight on the upper side. This is because of the way the hips on the model are tilted. If the hips were level, we would highlight both of them along the top, as that's where the light would catch them. Keep adding more light skin to your highlight colour as you continue to build up the layers. Notice your paint will start to thicken up each time you add more light skin, so remember to add a bit of water each time, just to keep the layers nice and thin. For the last highlights, we're just going to use pure light skin. And we'll also highlight the lower edge of the belly button now. That's going to catch quite a lot of light, so it's good to pick it out. Alright, so that's basically the lower half finished. You can see that it looks pretty natural, and because of the colour theory trick, we don't really need to add any extra shading to it. You could, if you wanted to, by adding some more Screamer Pink to the base colour, but I don't think it's that necessary. For the upper half of the body, it's going to be the exact same process. We'll just gradually build up layers until we're using pure light skin. Here on the chest, we're going to draw the pigment down so that the highlight is actually at the top of the shirt. The chest is usually on a little slope moving away from the body, so if you can imagine that the light flows over the surface and gathers at the bottom of the slope. Make sure to let the paint dry after each layer so that you don't rip the surface or create little balls of paint. That can be quite annoying to fix. Alright, so just keep pulling the paint down the front of the chest until you're using light skin for your final highlight. You can see here we're starting to get a really nice effect. Now that the chest highlight is finished, we'll paint in the clavicle or the collarbone. These aren't actually sculpted on the model, but we'll just add them anyway so it looks a bit more realistic. To do that, we're simply going to paint a line here just at the top of the chest, stopping around the middle, and then we'll paint another line on the other side. And we're going to leave a little gap just below the middle of the neckline. For the shoulders, you can think of them like little balls. So to highlight them, you're going to have a strong round highlight here near the top, and it's going to fade out following the shape of the sphere. The easiest way to do this is just to pull the paint up over the surface from the lower point, letting it gather at the upper point where you want the highlight. Then just keep turning the model and continue pulling the paint up to that point while focusing on getting a nice rounded highlight. You can see that I'm doing the same sort of thing on the other side. For the biceps, we're going to pull the paint up to the upper side of the muscle. And here on the forearm, we will treat this the same way as we did the bicep by drawing the paint to the upper part of the muscle. Pick out some of the details along the neck, highlighting towards the base of the neckline. Now we're going to do the same process again for the face, simply building up the highlight to our pure light skin colour. On the cheeks here, try and pull the paint up so that the highlights rest just underneath the eyes. Pick out the upper lip, the nose, chin and the forehead. After that, it's just a case of building up layers. To do the eyes, we'll first paint the eye socket with a dark colour, so here I'm mixing a bit more of the Screamer Pink into the base colour, and we'll use that to paint the sockets. Now we'll just use some Vallejo Ivory to paint the eyeballs. I've switched here to a smaller brush. I don't usually do that, but this model is quite small, so the smaller brush just makes it a bit easier to hit the eye. When I'm painting eyes, I usually hold the model side on like this and try to aim the tip of the brush towards the far away edge of the eyeball, then simply tap the side of the brush down, letting it fall onto the eye, rather than trying to paint it with the tip. For the lip here, I've used a bit of Screamer Pink, and then added some Vallejo Ivory to the pink for the highlight. Alright guys, so that's a pretty simple way of approaching female skin. It might take a bit of practice to get that soft look to the highlights, but after a few attempts it should start looking pretty good. A big thanks to all my generous Patreon supporters. Without your help it would be really difficult to continue making these tutorials. You're amazing, thank you very much. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks again. Bye for now. Whoa.